Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to class. Happy Friday. Happy whatever day this is for you, whenever and wherever you are watching. My name is Shyra. I'm with Sam's Bead Shop. And we're going to spend the next some minutes together, possibly an hour, learning how to make a beautiful grapevine inspired bracelet that I created a couple days ago, and just playing with Sam's bead box for June. So thank you to everyone who is watching it. Thank you to those who are watching the replay right now. I see you and I appreciate that you are staying here with us. I always love interacting with people in the chat. I feel like it feels like we're beading together. So don't be afraid to say hello. And if you're watching the replay, I always go back and check those comments too, so that you can feel like you're part of the class as well. Rachel, I'm glad you know how to spell my name. Thank you so much. So raise your hand in the comments if you have purchased Sam's bead box for June of 2024. It is called Berries and Wine. It is absolutely beautiful. The tones in it are just amazing. And as soon as I got mine and I opened it and I started playing around with all of these colors, they just made me so very, very happy. And I've already made like several pieces. I went to that Beadbox Extra sale and to the app, and I was like, I need more of everything. So hello, love it. Jen has it. Hello, Deb. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Stephanie. So glad to see all of you. So I want to make sure that we have enough time to get through the entire bracelet, maybe start a variation. I don't know, because I've got some ideas. So let's see if I can switch cameras, show you what we're going to be making. So this is my grapevine inspired bracelet, using all of those beautiful, beautiful beads from the box. I figured most people would guess that I would use the amethyst, but guess what? No amethyst here. I went strictly for those wine and grapey tones. And so the beads that I used from the box are the 6mm drips. I used the andesine labradorite. I used the fairy tale flowers. And I used those gorgeous, gorgeous carved pink roses. These roses are so beautiful. I just love the detail on them. I love that kind of golden shimmer. And yes, this combination actually made me decide, no, purple, this is the way we are going it today. So the construction of this bracelet is not very complicated at all. I am going to teach you like my little grapevine technique to make this bracelet bar, which you can see looks there. Looks just like that. And then what's nice about it is that as soon as I finished this part, I was like, oh, wait, I could use this for so many other things, right? Imagine an entire bracelet that's just made from that bracelet bar situation, or a collar necklace. Or I was talking with Rachel Siegel, and she suggested a barrette as well. I think that would be absolutely beautiful. And then I just have a chain with the fairy tale flowers on either side and made myself a little hook. And that is the project that we're going to be working on today. Just like that. So in order to create this bracelet, let's go over the tools and supplies that you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need some beads of your choice. Hopefully you have the box, but you don't need these necessarily from the box. You do need about, I would say, some sort of 6mm size, some sort of maybe a little bit smaller. A 4 or 5 can work just fine. Any sort of random bead that you would like for your chain. And then I needed a gem to do this sort of gem encrusted pattern on my bracelet bar, and that's where the andesine came in. Helene, I am able to see everything, so yes. In terms of tools, I'm using standard tools right here. So I have my chain nose pliers, my nylon jaw pliers, my round nose pliers, and a pair of flush cutters. Basic tools. That's just about it for that. In terms of wire, we're going to be using 2 different gauges today. And of course, my 20 went a little bit wild. I dropped it. Have you ever noticed that spools sometimes? You get schooled by spools. So I have a spool of 20 gauge German style wire that I got here in the shop. And then a spool of 26 gauge wire. That's going to be our working wire. 26 gauge is probably my absolute favorite because it's thin enough that you can do all kinds of things with. So that's the wire we'll be using. And then I have a couple of odds and ends here, and including one sort of wild card odd and end. I do have a bracelet mandrel that is not really necessary, but it might help you in forming your bracelet, particularly if you're having some trouble with your fingers. With my bracelet mandrel, I do have a rubber mallet. I did bring my bench block down. Don't think I'm going to need it, but you never know. I'm one of those people, guys, who always likes to be over prepared. So I will bring the entire beading desk situation with me just in case something comes up and I have to do a switch. I don't want to have to reach for anything. I just want to be prepared. And then I have, again, on the side of being prepared, all sorts of other little mandrels right here. Again, not necessary at all. And then I have a set of pickup sticks. And this is actually how this project started. I'm retired from teaching and I'm working full-time at the shop now. And I was in the classroom sorting through games, seeing which ones could be kept for the next teacher and which ones I had to give away or donate. And I found this brand new pack of pickup sticks and I was like, oh, nostalgia. No one plays pickup sticks anymore. And so I opened it and I started looking around at the sticks and I was like, how could I use these for wire work? Now, obviously, bead weaving is one very easy way, right? But okay, pickup sticks, bead weaving, what am I going to make? What am I going to create? And that's really how that idea became this bracelet bar. When it doesn't work out, get the hammer. Love that. All right, so I think we went over tools, we went over wire, we went over bead options, trying to look around, see if I need anything else. I also have extra beads because sometimes in the moment when you're designing with beads or you have a project in place, maybe you want something else. And so I brought my bead kit down from the box, all nice and sorted out in case I want to use any of the other beads from the box. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And what we're going to do first is we're going to go in and create that bracelet bar. You can see by looking at the back that we're having some concentric circles that kind of wind its way, just like a grapevine, all the way across. So in order to make that, what we're going to pull out first is our 20 gauge wire and pickup sticks. I figured pickup sticks would work great because there's the different colors. And so I would suggest pulling out 3 or 4. Now, obviously, if you don't have pickup sticks, any sort of small sticky thing would do. Maybe you have pencils, maybe bamboo skewers, maybe chopsticks, something, anything that you have on hand. Colleen, yes, they are all beads from the box. I'm going to move this just a little bit higher. So in terms of making our bracelet bar, I'm going to start with that 20 gauge wire. And I'm always terrified of playing wire chicken. So I tend to use a lot of wire. And I think for this version of the bracelet, I'm going to want to make it just a little bit longer, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to start off with a good maybe 12 inches of 20 gauge wire. And I'm going to smooth it out so it's nice and straight. That's always something that makes me laugh a little when working with wire, is how much time we spend smoothing it out before we curl it, weave it, wrap it. and make it non-straight. Okay, so I have that about 12 inches of my wire. And what you're going to start off with is just by making a loop on one side so that we can get to wrapping with the rest of it. So I'm going to start by kinking one of my sides over, coming in with my round nose. And you have to remember, guys, that I am left-handed, so everything I'm doing is probably backwards for you. I would apologize, but I always watch classes taught by right-handed people, so it's all right. So we kink that over. Is anyone making along this afternoon? I can't believe it's Friday in June already. It seems like this year is passing by so quickly. Coming in with my wire. And making sure it's nice and snug. Like so. And Rachel, you're going to have to shout at me or something to let me know if there are any questions. I always do all of my little tucks and nips at the end. It's just a habit. Maybe it's a good habit. Maybe it's a bad habit. But I wait till the end just so that I can always be sure that I catch everything. So we're going to take our 4 little dowels or 3 little dowels or whatever you have. I'm going to start with one of them. And I'm just going to do 1 wrap around, possibly 2, just to make it a little bit more firm. So I hold the loop that I made down like this, go around once, and I think I'm going to go around twice just to make it a little bit more secure. And I want to come in with my nylon jaw pliers, and yes, my fingers, and make sure that it's nice and together. One thing I want to caution you about is that you want to have some wiggle room on your dowel. If you pull it too tight, it's going to be really, really hard to pull the dowel out and get to the next one. So here's kind of the one, not necessarily tricky thing, but the one thing to remember when you are trying to make this bar is that each time you're using a dowel, you want to go in the opposite direction. So you're making a loop to the left, you're making it to the right, left, right, left, right, left, right. If you went in the same direction, you would eventually wind up with a circle, and that's not what we want. You know, I have already been stabbed by a pickup stick. So because my wire is coming out from the top, that means my next one is going to go on the top like this, right? And I'm going to bring it up and over this way, making sure to shape it just like I like. Up and over, up and over. And then I like coming in with my nylon jaw pliers because I don't want to mar the wire in any way. Like so. Now my wire is on the bottom. So that means I'm going to come in with my 3rd. And you don't necessarily need 3. You could just do this with 2. I just like all the colors. Honestly, that's really all it is. So I have it underneath my wire. I'm going to come over like that and do my 2 wraps or my 1 wrap. Technically, it's a wrap and a half. My wire is on the top. And so for my 4th one, that means my stick is on the top. I'm going to come pretty close and wrap around and around. And really, it's up to you. I can imagine making this piece maybe with like even 4 or 5 wraps, or maybe varying it a little bit, so that when you make the bar, it would mean that some of your beads will be elevated as opposed to not elevated. And I think that could have really cool repercussions as well. And so what I did was, now that I have my 4 in use, I could keep going, but I'm just going to take my dowel out and continue on with my chain, or my vine, my grapevine. So it's from the bottom of the stick. That means I go to the top, wrap, wrap. I may just do one. No, yeah, I'll just do one. Oh, look, they're already coming out, which is a good sign, y'all. The first time I did this, I was experimenting, and I wrapped the wire so tightly because I don't tend to like freeform things. It was, I should have filmed myself trying to get the wire off of the sticks, because that was not fun. I'm sure it would make for a very funny video though. All right. Not the most scintillating. All right, so I almost did it here. We don't want it on this side. We want it at the bottom because our wire's on the bottom. And we want to come back up. Do you guys remember playing pickup sticks when you were younger? I taught my kids how to play, my students how to play, but it didn't really stick with them. Ha ha ha, pun intended. I can imagine doing lamp work in Texas in the summer is not fun. All right, so we've got this one. We're not coming this way. Maybe we are. Let's go this way. Round, round, pull, bottom, round, round. And it goes super fast once you get the hang of it. Round, round. I want it up at the top, make it a little bit more secure. Yeah, absolutely, Colleen. All right, these are at the top, so I want the stick at the top. You know what this reminds me of? Do you guys remember back in like the early 2000s how popular like wired jigs were? Like it seemed like everything, every jewelry making tool was a wire jig. So the wire I am using is that German style wire, medium temper round in 20 gauge and in 26 gauge. There you go. All right, so next one. It's coming from the bottom, so the stick goes on the bottom. And you can see that even though we started off with quite a bit of wire, just like when you're cooking kale, this wire is now no longer very long at all. But you get this really cool, fun, funky grapevine-esque element. And what's nice about using this size of a dowel or a pickup stick is that the drooks sit right in each of those. So they're going to basically frame all of our beads. So now that I have this, I'm going to just end it by making another loop on this side. Let's go this way. there's no one in the office to yell at me if I'm off camera. So again, Rachel, I'm going to rely on you to yell at me somehow, but not via text because I don't have my phone. All right, we're going to hold that, pinch it, wrap it around nice and tightly. I hear some of the, or see some of the temperatures you guys experience, and then I feel really guilty for complaining about my own weather. But it is hot when it is above 75 for me. Not too hot, but definitely hot. I'm going to pick that. And write that down. So cool. I don't know. I think it's really cool. You may not think it's cool. So now what we need to do is we need to shape it for our bracelet. You could, if you have the strength in your hand, just kind of do it by hand. It is 20 gauge wire. I imagine if we were using 18 or 16, it would be a little bit more challenging in order to shape it the right way, which is why I brought down my bracelet mandrel. So I'm just going to choose a step, put my wire work piece right on that nice mandrel size. And then I'm going to take my rubber mallet. I'm going to start with this side and just kind of bend and shape it to my will. Again, this step is not really necessary. It's kind of hard to do with the camera in the way. I don't want to deafen you with the sounds of a mallet or stripes. Going back to work. Okay. I'm going to put this away. And like I said, you can also just kind of finagle it with fingers as well. I think I'm going to come back and snip that just so that it doesn't get in the way. Snippy. All right. See, doesn't it look like a grapevine? I think it does. Ooh, a polar blast. That sounds lovely. So this is where the fun begins, because you get to add in whatever beads you want to this bracelet bar. This would also be where if you were making a necklace, maybe you didn't start off with 12 inches of wire. Maybe you started off with like 15 or 20, so it's much longer. You could shape it so that it's flat and just kind of goes up, rainbow or semicircle type style. And then what you're going to do right now is that you need your 26 gauge wire or a similar thin gauge of wire. And we're going to fasten it to one side. And then we're going to start threading on, wire wrapping our beads to the bar, starting with a bead in each of the little frames of our bracelet bar. All right, so in terms of using our working wire, remember it's 26 gauge wire. I did not measure how much I used. I just kind of cut off a length. For now, I'm going to cut off about, 25 inches or so. Will that be enough? Probably not, but I have the whole spool here. Excellent. I think there is so much dust on my wire jig right now because I've never ever used it. I think I used it like once or twice, and that was it. Then no need to use it. Right, so I'm going to come in on one side, attach my working wire to the piece that I made. I like pulling it nice and snug and tight around. That one I will leave hanging off. I really want to challenge myself to do a whole collar made just from a frame like this grapevine frame. I think it would be stunning. But I think, and my friend Janet would probably agree with me, that I need to use pearls for that. All right. So I'm threading on a bead. And look how lovely it just sits right there in that little frame. And then I come down and around to secure it. And I usually just do it twice. Yes, that is a bead train. No, Jessie is not here.
Yes, I am.
Just kidding. Jessie is here, but not here.
My laptop isn't open, so I can't.
Laptop not open. No points to be awarded. All right. This part can go as quickly as you need it to go. Ooh, you know what else would look pretty? Opals. Ooh. Jen, the German style wire isn't really that thick. Like, it's pretty pliable. I would feel comfortable using it in order to do a collar. But because I would want my collar to be a little bit stiffer, I'd probably use maybe sterling silver. All right, we sit it on. Wrap. Anyone else here trains where you are and then instantly think big bead train? It's like impossible not to here. Even Jesse, who is getting ready to leave, the second we heard the train, he like froze. Bead train. All right. Doo-doo-doo. What you'll notice is the more beads you add on, that really helps hold the shape. So you don't have to worry about like it becoming looser and bending it out of shape again. Look at just how nice that looks. Could probably save time if I threaded several beads at once, but Two. Anyone have any interesting plans for the weekend? It's always harder for me to keep track of time in the summer. Just because during the school year, my time is always really divided into 50-minute increments or 20-minute increments. So now I'm like, is it Friday? I need multiple reminders for all the things. There's the hole. Like so. Ooh, I have a question, just because I'm curious. For those of you who did get the box, what was the first thing you pulled out to use? The first thing that you pulled out to use. I think for me it was the Celsian coins because they're just so stunningly beautiful. Beep, 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 beep. Right, 2 more for this. Sit right there in that hole. Wrap and wrap. Ooh. 98 with a heat index of 106. That is hot. Right? Sit this one here. All right. So first layer is done where we took those tricks. And so now we're going to come in with our next layer. Entirely up to you which beads that you want to use. I went again with the little pink roses with that little gold luster wash to them. Excuse me. So because I have so much working wire, I don't think I need to snip it off and cut a new wire and attach it again. That's one benefit to using so much wire at a time. So I'm just going to head on into my next bead. Ooh, Amelia, the hibiscus is so pretty. I 100% agree that it just calls out to be used. But I kind of want to hoard mine. Like, I don't want it to be gone. So I'm going to take this right here. And I want a little bit of width to this. So even though it looks like it would sit just perfectly right there, I can see adding it here, or I can see just trying to push it up so that it stays here and then leaving just a little bit more room, because then what will happen is when I come in with the andazine, it'll wrap really nicely around that part. Like so. And in terms of design, what I want to do is I want to alternate from left to right just to give me some more play. Thank you, Rachel, for posting those links. Coming on in, making sure to hide that working wire as much as possible. Joanne, I agree with you. Right, wire, bead, this side. So you can kind of see as I'm adding things in, how you can vary it a little bit for different purposes. Like instantly, not only do I think of my whole little color necklace idea, but I also see this working really well for like bridal pieces with like in neutral colors or in whatever color the bride wishes. But think about it in like whites and clears and creams. I think that would be lovely. Lovely. I don't think we should call it hoarding beads. I think we should call it curating a collection. That's what we're doing. We're not hoarding. All right, I want this side. In there, or come in behind. I'll come in this way. Make sure that it fits in there nicely. Right, Amelia? Wouldn't that be pretty? That's a good idea. Add in maybe some crystals. I think that would be so pretty. I might have to make one, or a crown. Just make a crown. We all need a little royalty in our lives. Like a soul. Round, round. That's great. A trunk full of curated collections. I love it. I think I need to stop buying beads though, because my curated collection is a little out of control. Just a little. Will I stop? No. But do I need to? Yes. Oops, wrong side. Just switch that over. Bum, ba-da-dum. Like that. Oh, so pretty. These colors. Hi, Vivian. Welcome. All right. Now we're cooking. And you can see that now my piece, now that I've wire wrapped 2 types of beads on it, is really, really very much secure. Yes, of course, you can always force it to unbend, but it's much better now. Okay, so when we take a look at the example, you can see we've done the dricks, we've done the little roses, and then the third bead that I used on the bracelet bar itself is the andesine labradorite. So I strung it all on and then just kind of wrapped it around the different, the lengths of the bracelet bar. Pretty, 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 pretty. How many of you, when you're making a piece, you get excited when it turns out exactly the way you want? And you're like, oh, that's so pretty. I can't stand it. I love it. I love it so much. I think I still have enough working wire to keep on going. I'm not doing any sort of fancy, extravagant wrapping. So good on me, hopefully. Although I do start to get nervous. Like I have run out of wire before and it's been, maybe tragedy is too strong of a word for it, but definitely inconvenient. All right, so I'm using the andesine now, and I'm going to string up maybe about 4 of them if I can find the holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I love about it is that because it has so many different of these pinkish and whitish tones to them, it really just adds another dimension to the piece. Oh my goodness, when I don't drop them everywhere. All right, so I've got 4 strung up, and I'm just going to bring that around to wrap and bring that working wire down just like that. So not a complicated piece at all, but I feel like it looks pretty elegant, and then it's so adaptable. Like this weekend, all I want to do is I want to see how far I can push this grapevine. All right, so I came around once. Do I want to come around again for security? Nah, I think it's going to be okay. Amelia, that's a good option. Except I did that once, and then someone bought like my favorite piece ever at the price that I had marked it way, way up to. And I wasn't happy because I wanted to keep it, but I couldn't pass the price. So I'm just very sad. Very sad. Actually, that happened twice. All right. So string 4. Look at those tones. Oh my goodness. String it like so. Come on. 2. So I didn't see any comments about any weekend plans. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to pickleball, of course. Will I go both days or one day? Remains to be seen. Right. I'm gonna wrap it down. What I love about this wrapping the gems around is that it also hides a multitude of sins. So if you have like working wire showing, yeah, let's just hide them with some gemstones, shall we? This one is a little thicker, so I'm gonna add a 5th lab right in there. Like so. Oh my gosh. I'm curious. For those of you who are going to make this piece or experiment with it, what beads are you going to use? Does not have to be beadbox beads, but what colorway are you seeing in your head? I've already mentioned that I want to try it with pearls. I've got some really tiny pearls that I think would look beautiful. Oh my gosh, yes, pearls. But what about in turquoise? Ooh, I think turquoise would be lovely as well. I think that was 3. I'm going to call this one 4. Could be 4, could be 5. Aw, Stephanie Marie, that's awesome. And feeding the homeless. All right, wrap. I think I'm adding more gems this time around, and I'm totally okay with that. Ooh, mermaid colors. That would be pretty. What are you going to use for your mermaid colors? I can totally see, I'm imagining in my head, maybe a little amethyst, cough, cough, maybe some apatite. Ooh, a black, white, and silver combo. That'd be nice. That'd be fancy. All right, we're going to situate you right there because that's where you look like you need to be. So I probably have about 3 more wraparounds, maybe 2 more wraparounds. Rachel Malice is going to use Unakite and pearls. I want to see it when you finish. All right, do. All right, coming on up. Let's get those situated. You can see I need like 2 more for this one. Have you ever found that when you're working with super tiny beads that they seem to like pop up and want to escape you? You're like, oh. I will absolutely keep that piece at a distance. I've grown to appreciate things. Maybe not a lot. Pretty, pretty, pretty. How am I doing on time? All right. Do. Ooh, turquoise and pearl. That might have to be the next colorway I choose after pearl and pearl. Although I think apatite would be lovely. Let's go. Let's go. Sorry to do that off camera, guys. I am blind and I really need new glasses. All All right, one more. Wow. Ooh, coral and pearl. Oh my, you guys are having some great ideas. What about a Larimar pearl and Ethiopian opal? That one was too dark. 3 and 4. Progress. It's my Unikite therapy. Oh, that one doesn't need 4. Okay. We take you off. Nice. Do not want to see my working wire. Fabulous. I'm going to tie this off nice and carefully. I like working my wire through just a bit. Right. Maybe one more wrap here. Marianne, it's okay. The video is available for replay. Technically, we've taken 47 minutes to do just this one piece, but that's okay because the rest of it is super simple. So you can see where even right now, this would be so incredible just to wire wrap it to a barrette backing, and you have just this gorgeous, gorgeous barrette right there. I have 2 now. This is crazy. So the next step is just to make our chain. You can do it with simple loops. You can do it with wrap loops. My personal preference is wrap loops just because I'm always scared that something is going to break and I want things to be pretty sturdy and pretty long lasting. This is not tourmaline. It is andazine labradorite. Right, so I'm back to the 20 gauge. Come on, spool, hold it together. Hold it together, spool. I'm gonna cut a length off. Doesn't really matter how long you're cutting off. You're just gonna be working with it to make your loops for your chain. Again, we start off by straightening it. Now you could, if you wanted a little bit more versatility, make jump rings and then attach the chain to a jump ring. I tend to just kind of go right off the bat off of the piece. I can see pros and cons to both sides. Like the con would obviously be if something breaks, you basically have to redo more of the bracelet. Pro would definitely be more flexibility. You can take it apart, put it back together in whatever style or way that you want. But let's just live it up. We're just going to go for it. So I'm going to be making just some simple wire wrapped loops, simple wrapped loops, if that's a thing. I like starting down pretty low, give myself some room to play. I tilt it backwards. I bring it around. Remember, I'm a lefty, so things are going to look a little bit different. And I also have the camera right here. So don't have as much room to play around. I'm going to link this on. Like so. Put that back in. And I like bringing it up. So I use my hands a lot when I'm working with wire, especially when it's something like 20 gauge. Again, those thicker gauges, it gets a little bit harder. And I also like large loops. I've been feeling large loops lately, even though I guess I could just go in phases. So I take my end. Do you have to leave this much? But I think wire chicken is like my anxiety talking. And I also like just having enough to know where I need to cut later. Right, Valerie? I think gorgeous necklace. So I think what I want to try is taking this, making it longer. So we started off with, excuse me, a 12-inch piece of wire that gave us, don't have a ruler right here, but that gave us maybe what, a 3.5-inch bar. So imagine starting off with like a 24-inch piece of wire and having it this long, and then just making a colored necklace. That's what I want. Something with sparkle. My birthday's coming up in the beginning of July. I need some sparkle. So for my chain, I use the fairy tale flowers from the box. And of course, dropping them. All right. So you make a loop. Excuse me. Make a loop. Add your fairy tale flower, and then we're just going to make another loop on the other side. And again, if you don't mind them, it could absolutely be a simple loop. Again, it's just personal preference to do those wire wrap loops. Thanks, Joan. So start with one side, nice and snug. Bend it in one direction, come back in, wrap around. Try not to have your camera in the way. You're running out of time. Right? So there's one. And you would essentially just go in. I don't know. Do you guys want me to finish? Should I keep on going? All we're basically doing is we're taking 3 on this side and then 3 on this side. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll show you the little claspy that I made because it's very simple and very cute. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. So first step first. I'll finish one side, then I'll make the little clasp. How about that? That way you get the full picture. So I have one of the fairy tale flowers on and coming in with another loop. Ooh, yeah, I can totally see that too, Amelia. Coming in, wrapping. Especially now that I'm running out of time, we're going a little fast. Wrap. Do the wire, be the wire. Yep. Fairy tale flower. Oh, I am going to finish it because that means I have 2. And the question is going to become, do I keep both of them? I suppose I can put one in our little jewelry archive here in the shop. All right, I've got to be careful not to mess up. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. All right. Make sure your fairy tale flower is nice and snug. Pink it in one direction. Come in with your round nose and bring it around. Bring it around and around and around. That leaves some nice room for wrapping. I usually try to have at least 2 wraps, sometimes 3. Of course, the more room that you leave and the more wraps you have, that they kind of become a design element of their own. Thank you, Marcia. All right, one more for this side. All right, kink around. Don't forget to put it on the chain. Ooh, opal and turquoise. What? Yeah, I want to see you guys make all of these combinations, and please post them in Gem Chat because I love getting inspired by other people's work. I'm gonna cut that. 1, 2. I can count to 3. So I have one more fairy tale flower to add. Where is the hole? Looks like Rachel is dropping the link for you for gym chat. And you never ever have to be worried about posting your pieces in gym chat. We're all very supportive. I do not let anyone talk badly about people. So if you're shy and you're like just starting on your jewelry making journey, don't worry about it. We love you and support you too. We're going to keep that. We'll kink, go around, make it through, and wrap. I kind of messed that one up again fast, but that's okay. That's okay. We adjust. All right. Now that I've got my 3, I'm going to snip. Check for any edges that I can flush cut. Then I come in with my chain nose, work them around just for an added level of protection. And then my 3rd step with any jewelry piece that I make is after I make sure all the edges and all the pokey parts are nice and secure, I'll probably go in with a file and just file down those edges, because it's no fun to wear a piece of jewelry and then have it scratch you. Okay. So that is one side right there. I would go ahead and finish the other. That's 3 more fairy tale flowers on the other side. Submissions are typically posted if they follow the rules and the guidelines. So to make my clasp, I kept it very, very simple with this one. Maybe even too simple, but I think she's just very, very sweet. So we're going to start off with making this little hook, coming down, and then attaching it with a loop to the piece. Okay. My wire has been worked pretty much, quite a big deal. So I'm going to come in with my nylon jaw pliers, my wire smoothies, make sure that it's nice and straight. And one of the reasons why I love these so much is that they're super tiny and you can really get in there. So I would just want to make a teeny, tiny, tiny little fold over. Just a teeny, teeny one. Like that. Chain nose pliers. Gonna come in like so. Make sure it's nice. Just like that. Add a little bit of extra protection. Now I'm going to come in and make my hook part. And so you can use anything that's kind of small and round. A pencil would work great. I'm going to use this mandrel. Just kind of bend it over. You can I've even used in a pinch, like the side of my pliers before, the handle of my pliers. But because we're only using 1 wire for this hook, what I've found in the past is that, maybe you found it too, is that when you're working with especially 20 gauge, if you make the clasp too big and you don't double up the wire, it becomes a lot more flimsy. So that's one reason why I'm keeping this hook very, very small, because I'm only using 1 length of the 20 gauge wire. And if it was bigger, I would be risking it coming undone quite a bit. So I'm going to bend, bend, bend around like so. This one already is a little bit bigger than my other one. That's okay. Actually, I think I might have just used these when I was making that clasp. Make it super tiny. come in with my chain nose just below where I made that little holding place for my hook. And I want to bend this so that it's kind of at an angle. That helps me be a little bit more don't absolutely. I'm just kind of skipping that step right now due to lack of time. But even with hardened wire with a 20 gauge, I find that especially if you're using like bigger beads or a bigger piece, using two, doubling up that length of wire for your clasp is so much more secure. So I've got this part. You could add a bead here if you wanted to, and that would be really, really beautiful. I'm not. I'm just going to come in with another loop. All right, now that I have folded it over, and I'm going to very carefully remember not to close it off just yet, because you could, of course, use a jump ring. I am not using jump rings in this piece. But jump rings are very satisfying to make. I don't know about you guys, if you buy yours or you make yours. There's some times when all I have capacity for is to like turn something on the TV and make jump rings. All right, so I have my hook. I'm going to hold this part flat while I wrap around. And again, this would be another opportunity for you to add a bead to your clasp if you wanted to. Maybe I will. Will I? Let's see how that looks. We make it interesting. I can't find the hole. There you are. Oh my goodness. Where's the hole? There we go. You can add one. I think this clasp is a little bit too small, but you could theoretically add one. I'm not. I don't like that. Too big, too big, too big. Rachel, were there any questions that I've missed? I've got 1, 2. I'm coming in and under to do a third. Nice and tight, all lined up. Thanks for the reminder, Janet. All right, so I've got my hook. It's cute. It's adorable. It is. Did I just drop my whole piece? Didn't even feel it. All right, cute, adorable, and ready to go. In order to make it just a little bit more secure, you can kink it back just a little bit further, just to kind of play around with it. And then the last step for this one would be, of course, to finish the other side of the chain 1, 2, 3 with the fairy tale flower, so that your hook would go right in to the edge. Now, of course, you can make all sorts of variations, like maybe add a dangle to the end. Sarah and I are both very fond of dangles and dangles at the end of our bracelets. That's basically it. That's how you put it together. Let me see what I can see. All right. What do you guys think? Questions, comments, concerns? Thank you so much, Sherry. But look, necklace style. Just a beautiful colored necklace. That's got to be high on my priority list. All right. Well, if there are no questions, then it's time for class to be over and for you to go and enjoy your day, your evening, your morning, wherever you are in the world. And of course, I hope that you get some beading time in either today or sometime soon in your lives. If you do have any questions about this technique or anything I can help with, go ahead and put them in the comments of the YouTube video. I will check today, I will check tomorrow, and for the next couple of days, just to make sure that I get any comments or questions so that I can help you make this lovely piece as well. Have a wonderful, wonderful time, everyone, and happy beading.